An exclusive news break that we're getting to you viewers. We have accessed the Intel assessment note on Nepal, which states that in January this year, KP Sharma Oli's cabinet pushed an ordinance and amended 29 laws. Now, these laws facilitated land hoarding and gave protection to those who are facing corruption charges and nullified an earlier Supreme Court restrictions that was placed on this entire land swap mechanism that was pushed by the KP Sharma Oli government. Now, this was seen as a manipulation of law to protect people in power, is the big Intel assessment of the situation, which has been only escalating since January of this year, because so much anger has been, collecting against the KP Sharma Oli government. The 2024 Supreme Court ruling against the illegal land swaps was neutralized when the government later altered these laws. I'm joined by my colleague Anand Narasimhan on the broadcast. So Anand, given the fact that certain guardrails are expected when it comes to this brazen abuse of power by several governments, and one of the key guardrails is the judiciary. The fact that the government was even overruling the Supreme Court when it came to favoring certain people who were facing corruption charges, that only escalates the anger against the KP Sharma Oli government, and not just KP Sharma Oli, but the entire political class, given the fact that there has been so much political instability over the last 17 years.
Good afternoon, Aishman, and good afternoon to our viewers. In fact, one of the biggest aspects or two planks on which this entire uprising was pillared on was the bubbling or boiling point reaching or a tipping point reaching for corruption and impunity. These two things were something which the people were not able to accept. And the impunity was on display when the VVIP car just smashed into a girl who was walking on the street and tried to cross and did not even want to stop. And that was perhaps a tipping point for the VVIP behavior and the impunity that the political elite in Nepal didn't care for law and order, and they didn't care for public, health, and more importantly, brazen civic apathy. For a period of time, Nepal has been also looking at a certain level of stagnation of the economy, huge amount of unemployment. The unemployment is above 12.7%. And these are issues which are anyway fueling public anger. On top of that, like Manoj Kumar Gupta had said, that there is billions of rupees of corruption which was happening, be it with infrastructure projects, be it in information technology or the IT sector, where there were multiple scams that came to the fore, not just the January superseding of the Supreme Court ruling on illegal land swaps, but there were instances in June, there were instances in May, there were instances in April, where at multiple levels corruption was fought, corruption was caught, but corruption was overlooked. And these netas and these mantris, they seem to be in cahoots, and the people who are watching the netas, the political elite and their ilk, enjoying the riches, acquiring more and more property, their children traveling abroad and living lavish lives and putting it all out on social media for everybody to see, while the common people were looking at tourism stagnating, the issue of natural calamities. There were multiple issues, job stagnation, and somewhere perhaps an isolation with which from the world, where the influence of certain hegemonistic forces were far more overbearing than public interest itself. But if there is bad governance, if there is corruption, then there will be a tipping point after which the people will revolt and the people will reject the existing government. Now, India Against Corruption is a movement that comes to mind where people had had enough of corruption and they started speaking up. And at that time, along with corruption was the other aspect of the political elite moving around with impunity with this Lal Batti and this Lal Batti culture in Bharat. This happened in 2011, 2012, and it's a similar sentiment that people in Nepal have now expressed, saying that we've had enough of this so-called VVIP elitism and this impunity, and coupled that with the corruption, where taxpayers' money that is supposed to accrue, and welfare that is supposed to accrue, manifest, infrastructure that is supposed to accrue, manifest to the people of Nepal was not being done, and the political elite were only getting richer, but the people were struggling and were not getting more avenues and more opportunities to grow. And that's why we see the youth, the Gen Z, largely between 18 to 35-year-old, who took to the streets. Yes, there was vandalism, yes, there was arson, and that is regrettable and that is unfortunate. But the protest stemmed from this apathy that had come within the political elite, and perhaps a state of denial that the people can't do anything and the people don't know, and we'll do as we please. And history is rife with nations which have toppled established governments, monarchies, and autocrats, etc., dictators, etc., the moment the people have had enough. So I think somewhere in Nepal that was manifest, along with a certain level of misgovernance and political immaturity in dealing with issues which should have been. And someone as a seasoned politician like Mr. KP Sharma Oli should have seen the writing on the wall, should have reacted. In fact, on the September 6th incident also, he tried to brush it off as a minor incident rather than taking cognizance of it. And that was perhaps the biggest trigger.
Right. Thank you, Anand, for decoding that for us. But the protests in Nepal, ladies and gentlemen, fueled by anger over corruption and economic stagnation, as Anand was pointing out, have spread chaos across Kathmandu and several smaller towns and cities. CNN News 18 is reporting